Joe, thank you for joining me here today to tell me a little bit about Universal Robots and what's going on with you guys. I wanted to start out with just a few questions. First off, where do you find automation to be the most beneficial in packaging processes?
Well, we're seeing it across the board. We're seeing it in companies big and small. But the one application area that I really like to talk about is how we're impacting very, very high mix, low volume operations. As you would commonly find in a contract packaging line, for example, historically this has been very, very underserved by automation because it's difficult to automate because of the rapidly changing nature. And so we're finding a lot of traction in this space right now. It's been very, very good for us. From an application standpoint, we're seeing everything from primary pack, secondary pack, case erecting, and palletizing across the board. Of course, given the payload of our robots, we're certainly not picking up 100-pound bags of cement, but we do very, very well with the smaller product lines.
Can you tell me a little bit about the major steps that would be required to automate processes with your collaborative robots?
Well, I think it's like any other automation project. You're basically going to define the scope of the project carefully and really understand the reach and the payload and the cycle times that are required. I think what's interesting about the collaborative technology is because it's so flexible. We always talk to customers about not looking for the $1 million problem. Right? Look for the $85,000, $95,000 problem and solve that. Meaning you don't have to find one single product line that you can load up the automation with. You can be very, very flexible in keeping a collaborative robot busy by moving it from operation to operation, which again is why we fit so well in that contract packaging world.
Why is closely observing the current processes prior to starting the design of the automation solution crucial to the overall success of the deployment?
Well, it's because operators figure out how to get the job done. And quite often they're doing little steps in the process that may not be apparent to the engineers and may not be obvious to the automation provider. So it's really important to go talk to them regarding, exactly what they're doing in the process and what adjustments they have to make on the way. And that's the area that can either make or break a project.
How have you guys have been adjusting to doing that step when with all of the restrictions and everything that's going on right now in life?
Well, this as you look at us today talking on a Zoom call, this is the new normal. I will say both our customers, our distributors, all of our partners in the integration and UR Plus worlds, as well as our team, have really adapted well. And so now we're having regular online meetings, but we've actually taken it a step further. We're doing online demos, online training. We've really adapted to it very well. Now, the good news is the world is slowly starting to open up. So we're actually looking forward to kind of coming back to a mix of face-to-face and online. And I think that's actually going to be very helpful for the whole industry.
To have the option of doing one way or the other.
Yep,
Right.
exactly.
Right. Can you tell me what some of the biggest misconceptions are when it comes to automating the packaging lines, and what is Universal Robots doing to help change this?
Well, I think the biggest misconception is back to that comment I made before. The biggest misconception is that customers are looking for the $1 million problem. Traditional approach to automation really required every step in the process to be automated. There was no graceful way to intermix skilled human operators with automation. And so consequently, the traditional approach was to look for lines that could be completely automated,
Right.
all steps, all processes. And unfortunately, that drove cost up, complexity up, et cetera. So the biggest misconception is that you have to have a $1 million problem. And what we counsel customers to do is look for the smaller problem. Let's solve them one at a time. We call it incremental automation, and it's been very, very successful. I would also say in the small and medium-sized companies, which, by the way, are about 90% of the manufacturing businesses in the U.S., In many cases, they've looked at automation in the past, but they came away with a bad taste in their mouth because
Right.
the technology was too complex, the price was too high, or in many cases, they really even couldn't get a good response from the industry because at the time, we weren't equipped to go sell to small companies. So we work very hard on it from an education standpoint to break those barriers down.
Right, that's great. So, and you say that those are some of the things that have changed over the years too, um, to bring it from this high price tag thing down to the more attainable, smaller problem issues. But what are some of the latest technologies that you're incorporating into these automation processes? And where do you see these advancements kind of taking you in the next 5 years or so?
Well, I'm going to give you a two-part answer.
Sure.
First is we just talked about being in this online virtual world. Um, UR was very fortunate to get ahead of this years ago. Actually, it was one of the visions of the founders. So right now we have a very, very rich online presence to help people learn about collaborative robots and learn how to program them and set them up. We have an online academy named the UR Academy, and we've actually trained over 100,000 people around the world in this academy. It's got 13 or 14 modules, and you can learn how to operate and program a UR robot in as little as a couple hours. So that's one answer. I think the second answer is about application kits. We're a robot company. We manufacture and sell robots, and we've been very successful doing that. But we're watching the industry evolve to the application kits. So these are not 100% turnkey solutions, but they're higher order collections of accessories and peripherals along with a robot to make projects easy. And so, for example, in the palletizing world, we have multiple partners now that have palletizing kits. It's not just mechanical, which is a big part of it, but it also includes very, very advanced software specifically for palletizing. You basically take a kit, add a UR robot to it, and you're at the 95% level for implementation. And I think that is a trend that's going to continue for years.
That's great. That's great. Well, thank you for taking the time to talk to us and tell us a little bit more about what's going on with you guys. And I guess till next time.
We'll talk to you soon, Joan. Take care. Have a
All
great
right.
afternoon.
Thanks, Joe.